Morning, everyone. I'm Rebecca. Thank you for joining me for this morning yoga sequence. You may like to have a blanket, a strap, and maybe even a block for this practice. We'll begin with some slow and easy, gentle movements and progress towards some balance poses and some standing work that'll help you break a little sweat and bring a little energy into your day. So take a moment, gather what you need, and I'll see you on the mat.
And let's start off on our backs. If you are comfortable lying on your blanket, you can. Otherwise, you can shift that out of the way for a little bit and just come on down to your back. You can come to a shavasana or to a constructive rest pose with your feet out to the edges of the mat and your knees tented in and resting on each other. And just let your hands be on your belly. And begin to breathe slowly and deeply. Just letting yourself relax here. Relax now in this moment. And as you can feel your belly rise and fall underneath your hands, you just say to yourself as you're inhaling, I'm breathing in. And as you're exhaling, I'm breathing out. And bring some awareness to all that that means. The movement of your belly, the stretching of the skin to accommodate that movement, the oxygen moving into your cells, the carbon dioxide exiting your body. When you stop to think about it, just this simple act of breathing is a miracle that we take very little, if any, time to appreciate in any given day. And then just gently scan through the body and notice all the places that your body is in contact with the floor. Feel your hands resting on your belly and your belly being touched by your hands. Feel your knees touching each other and your shoulders relaxing down to the mat. And then allow yourself to take a deep breath, a very deep breath, maybe the deepest one you've taken so far today. And let that out gently. Take another breath like that. This time exhaling through an open mouth, if you like. Welcoming the oxygen into your body. Waking up, filling yourself with vitality. One more breath here. And if you like, you can keep your eyes closed. You can let your eyelids flutter open, Just begin to windshield wiper the knees slowly from side to side. And if you like to move your hands from your belly to someplace that's more comfortable, you can do that or leave them there. You can just allow those knees to windshield wiper over just as far as you like. If that's just a little bit for you, that's fine. Or if you like to bring that stretch into the outside of the hip and the side body, just play with it here. And then bring that back to stillness. In the center, we'll bring one knee and then the other into the belly and just roll around just a little here. And then let's hug the left knee into the chest as we extend the right heel up towards the ceiling, peeling those right toes back towards the face, keeping the knee bent if you need to. And then taking a deep breath here. As we're exhaling, we'll lower that right leg slowly down to the mat, pressing out through the heel. And then on your inhale, draw that right knee back into the chest. Switch your grip over to the other side, hugging that right knee into the chest. And then we'll inhale the left heel up to the ceiling, peeling those left toes back towards the face. Inhaling here. And then exhaling, pressing out through the left heel. Exhaling all the way back down. And then on your inhale, drawing that left knee into the chest. Switching your grip to the left leg. Inhaling, right heel up, really, really pressing out through the heel now, feeling that stretch down the back of the leg. Exhaling slowly and mindfully, allowing that right leg to come down. When that heel finds the mat, inhaling, right knee back to the chest, and one last time switching. Inhaling, left heel to the ceiling. Exhale, left heel coming on down. Inhale, left knee comes back to chest. And then allow the ankles to cross. You can reach out and take a hold of the outsides of your feet or your toes or whatever you can grab here. And then just pull those feet back towards the body, allowing the collarbones to spread apart from each other and the shoulder blades to move under the back, tucking the chin slightly. And then allow that to release. We'll switch the crossing of the ankles and repeat that here. Maybe exhaling as you pull the feet back. And then from here, you can either roll to one side and press yourself up to a seated position, or if you like, you can begin a little rock and roll. Just massaging that spine and then finding your way up to a comfortable seat. So coming now to that seated position that suits you, we're going to reach the left arm out to the side and then just relax the head over toward the right. Just allow that left shoulder to be nice and relaxed here. Take a nice deep breath. And then as you're exhaling, allow the chin to fall to the chest and bring the knees into the chest. Holding onto the knees, perhaps pressing the knees slightly into the arms and pulling back against the knees with the arms, tucking the chin and feeling that stretch down the back of the neck. And if you want to move your head a little around to get into some good yummy spots here, go ahead and do that. And then we'll allow the knees to release back into Sukhasana. We'll take out the right arm this time, and then take that head on over towards the left, allowing that arm and shoulder to be heavy and relaxed. And then roll the chin back towards the chest, pulling those knees up again, pulling back against the knees, tucking in the chin, really feeling that stretch down the back of the neck. And then allow your arms to release, your legs coming back to your Sukhasana. And from here, we're going to bring the hands out in front, allowing the palms to touch here, sort of like you're pointing away from yourself with your fingertips here. And then plug those shoulders onto the back, firm up through the abdominal muscles. And then on your next inhale, allow the arms to open wide, just as wide as you can bring them. And allow the thumbs to rotate behind you. So thumbs are pointing up and back. And then bringing the hands back in line with the shoulders. Turn the palms downward so the palms are facing the mat. And then we're going to take our fingertips, and on our next exhale, we're going to curl the fingertips towards the body here. So you'll feel some engagement in the shoulders and a stretch through the top of the hand as you're turning those fingertips under and pointing them towards the body. So a little work for the wrists here this morning. And then we'll turn the fingers up so that they're pointing towards the ceiling, maybe even peeling those fingers back just slightly here, pressing out through the heel of the hand, and just noticing what that feels like, where you're feeling the sensation. Remember that we're not looking for pain in our practice, but just sensation. So if something feels uncomfortable here, maybe bend the elbows slightly or allow the arms to drop. And now we'll exhale, allowing those fingertips to come down to the mat, bringing the hands back to heart center here. And then on an inhale, turning those fingertips out and pressing the hands away from the body so that once again, we're pointing away here. Taking a deep breath as we're exhaling. This time, we're going to bring the left arm across the body, using the right arm to pull back, sinking that left shoulder down, feeling that stretch now through the top of the upper arm. Inhaling to allow that to release, taking the hands back to our palm to palm position. And then exhaling, bringing that right arm across the body. Inhaling to bring the arms forward. Exhaling, bringing the hands back to heart center. I'm going to take a little gentle variation on the sun salutation today. So this is where your blanket might come in handy. So you can bring your blanket to your mat. We're going to come to our knees here. And if the knees just don't work for you here and you prefer to take a traditional sun salutation from standing, you can, of course, do that. If you'd like to give this a try, first just come to your knees on your mat. Allow the tops of your feet to be on the mat. Sitting back on your heels here, feel that gentle stretch through the tops of the feet. And see if you can really stack your shoulders over your hips here. Hands are at heart center. And then we'll begin to move from here, inhaling to come up to the knees, allowing the arms to come up overhead, really reaching out through those fingertips. And then we'll exhale, bringing the hands through heart center, sinking back towards the heels and allowing the hands to come out on the mat as we exhale down into a child's pose. And if you need to, widen your knees here a little to make room for your anatomy. Make room for yourself. From here, we'll inhale to come up slightly, rolling the toes under in the back and shifting up, downward facing dog. And keep those knees nice and bent if you need to, rolling the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Nice big inhale here. And then as you exhale, drop the knees back to the mat, shifting back towards the heels, child's pose. Drawing the hands back towards the body. Hands come back to heart center. We'll inhale to come up, reaching up through the fingertips. And as we're exhaling, allow those hands to swim around behind, pressing into the top of the tail, exhaling into a little back bend. Inhaling to come back to center, and exhale back to the heels. And now we'll come through this again, inhaling up, reaching up overhead. Hands come to meet, coming back to our Virasana. Inhaling here, exhaling into our child's pose. Inhale to rise up from your child's pose. Exhale, downward dog. Find some movement here if you like. Maybe pressing one heel and then the other down towards the mat. And then coming to stillness, taking a big inhale. Exhale, child's pose. Drawing the hands back towards the body. Inhaling to come up. Hands reach up overhead. Exhale, hands swim around behind. And on your next exhale, little back bend. Inhale, arms come up overhead. And exhale, back to the heels. Continuing to move through this as the body becomes more familiar. Inhaling, arms come up overhead, up to the knees. Exhale, sitting back on the heels. Hands come to heart center. Inhale here, then stretching the arms out. Child's pose. Allow yourself to rise up and exhale, downward dog. Dropping to the knees, coming back to child's pose. Drawing the hands back towards the body, coming back to the heels. Hands come to heart center. Inhaling, arms come up overhead. Exhale, hands swim around behind, tucking that chin in and allowing yourself to sink into this back bend as much as it feels good for your back. And you can take the gaze to the ceiling, but keeping that chin tucked and the gaze forward is a little safer for the neck. Inhaling the arms up overhead and exhale back to heels. One last time here. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, Coming back down, hands reach out. Child's pose. Inhale to rise up, rolling the toes under. Exhale, downward dog. Couple of breaths here. And on your next exhale, knees coming down to the mat, coming back to child's pose. Bringing the fingers back to the body, hands come to heart center. Inhaling to rise up on the knees, hands come up overhead. Exhale, hands swim around back, coming into your little back bend. Inhale, arms come back up overhead. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Good. All right, let's allow the hands to reach out on the mat here. Coming into a tabletop, and you can shift your blanket out of the way here if you like. We won't be needing that now. And then from your tabletop, go ahead and come up into a downward facing dog. And again, just find any movements here that feel good for you, waking up the body. And then shifting the gaze forward, we'll walk the feet up to the top of the mat. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale to release. And then inhaling all the way up to stand. Hands come to heart center. And then just to complete our warm up here, we'll go ahead and come through one regular sun salutation. So inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, we'll drop forward into that forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, releasing into that fold. Planting both hands, stepping back to plank or half plank. Pulling that front body into the back body here, rolling forward on the toes if you are on your toes, hugging those elbows in tight and exhaling down slowly. See if you can hover for a moment at the bottom. And then release. Tops of the feet come to the mat. Inhaling up, baby cobra, or maybe up dog. And then rolling the toes under. We'll shift back to downward facing dog. And bending the knees, taking the gaze forward. Take our walk back up to the top of the mat. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, release. And inhaling all the way up to stand with the flat back. Let's come to the center of the mat now. Actually, I'm sorry, let's not come to the center of the mat. Let's stay at the top of the mat. I'm going to come into a little chair series here. So finding your foundation, feet at about hip width distance here, set yourself up with a nice Tadasana, engaging all of the muscles in towards the bone, pulling that belly button up and in. From here, we'll inhale the arms up overhead, and then exhale and come back down into our forward fold. Now from our forward fold, we'll inhale the arms up around the ears, if you like, sitting the hips back, coming into our chair pose here. And remembering that if having the arms up overhead doesn't work for you, just inhale them up halfway. Bring your hands to heart center. Find where you'd like to be here. Check in with your toes. Maybe wiggle them a little. Make sure you can see them beyond your knees. And imagine this nice straight line down the back body, back head, all the way through the tailbone. Nice big deep breath here. And then we'll exhale, hands come to heart center, coming all the way back down into our forward fold. Deep breaths here. And then we'll inhale the arms back up, sitting the hips back, coming into our chair pose. Now we'll allow the hands to come to heart center. We're going to take the left elbow, bringing it over the right knee, coming into a twist here. Or you can keep the left hand on the right knee, and the other hand on the hip, coming into a high twist. Find your breath. Keeping the hips low, we'll inhale, coming to center, rooting down into the feet, and then take the opposite elbow to the opposite knee. One more breath. Stick with it. Got this. Inhaling back to center, keeping the hips low, and then allowing yourself to tilt forward, forward fold. A deep breath. Feel that heat building. Know that that is your vital energy manifesting itself in your practice. And then from here, one last time, we'll inhale the arms up overhead. Hands come to heart center. You can come into that twist again. And this time, see what happens if you open the arms. And then bring those hands back to heart center, coming back forward, keeping the hips low, and taking this to the other side. Arms opening up. See if you can really press that elbow into the knee and the knee into the elbow as well, so that as you're twisting, your knees are both still pointing forward and not knocking into one another. Inhale, hands come back to heart center. Whew, and exhale, back to forward fold. Good, bending deeply into those knees now. You can place one hand and then the other over the bent knees, or just inhale up to stand with the flat back. Allow your hands to come to heart center and just take a moment here to receive and reflect. Just notice what your body feels like. And now we'll step out wide on the mat. So come to the center of your mat and take a nice wide stance here. All 10 toes are pointing forward. We're pressing into the outer edges of the feet. And from here, we're going to inhale the arms up overhead, really reaching out through those fingertips, really grounding down through the outsides of the feet, bending the knees slightly. And then on an exhale, go ahead and bring those hands down to the hip crease. Inhale, rolling the shoulders onto the back. And then exhale, tilting forward, wide leg forward fold. Allow yourself to come down just as far as you like, dropping your hands to the floor or to a block or to your shins. Crown of the head relaxes down towards the floor, and then bending into the knees slightly. Inhaling up to stand, grounding down into those feet. We're going to turn the right foot out. Inhaling the arms up halfway, turning that left foot at a slight angle towards the top of the mat, and then taking the gaze over the front fingers, exhaling into our warrior two. So we're bringing that knee right over the ankle here. And we'll drop that back hand, reaching the front hand up, pulling those fingers back. Reverse warrior. Continue to deepen into that front knee. Weights in the outer edges of both feet. Inhale, warrior two. And then exhale, we'll straighten that front knee, shifting the hips out to the side here. And then exhaling into a triangle. And you can drop that hand down to the shin or to the ankle or the floor or a block. And no matter how deeply you take this pose, allow the hip and the shoulder and the back of the head to be in line with one another, just like they were coming in contact with a wall. And now reaching up through those fingertips, engaging everything. Inhale to come up out of your triangle pose. Exhale, hands come down, feet come to parallel. And we'll take another forward fold here, rolling the shoulders onto the back. Exhale into your fold. Deep breath. And then inhaling back up. We're going to turn the other foot out now. Toes coming towards the short side of the mat. And then that other foot is an angle. Inhaling, arms come up halfway. Exhale, warrior two. And I like to say in your warrior two, make sure you're centered right here in the present, not reaching into the future or staying stuck in the past. Just right here in this present moment. And then dropping that back hand, scoop the air up, reaching up through that front arm, deepening into the knee, peeling those fingers back if you like. Reverse warrior. Gaze can move up towards the ceiling or to the crease of your elbow. And then inhaling back, warrior two. Exhale, straightening through that front knee, shifting the hips out to the side, really reaching here, and then allowing that hand to drop on down. And bring some awareness into your shoulders and fingertips here, moving the shoulders back and seeing that you have a nice straight line down from the fingertips and through the shoulder joint, stacked right on top of each other. Sometimes we have a tendency to allow that top arm to come behind. So bringing those fingertips right up overhead. And then inhaling to engage everything, rising up, allowing the hands to drop, the feet to come to parallel, inhaling shoulders onto the back and dropping forward into our wide leg forward fold. And bringing the hands down to the mat or a block here. We'll allow the left hand to come in front of the face as we inhale, open through the right, going into a twist. Exhale, allowing that right hand to come down. Planting the right hand in front of the face, inhaling the left arm up. And exhaling, allowing that left hand to come down. Bending slightly into both knees. Inhaling up to stand. And we'll heel toe those feet back to just a little bit more than shoulder width distance here. And yep, you guessed it. We're going to go from here into a squat. So if you like to have a blanket underneath your heels, or if you like to have a couple of blocks stacked underneath your tailbone, you can get those now. We'll take a nice big inhale here. And then as we're exhaling, just bending into the knees, allowing the hips to shift back as we sit down into our squat pose. Once you've found your way here, really pressing the hands into each other, finding that press resist motion between the knees and the elbows, and trying to move the shoulders up, try to move the ears up away from the shoulders. Nice long neck. Couple of breaths here. Just allowing the breath to do the work of opening the hips. And then allowing the hands to come down to the floor. We'll roll forward slightly, pressing the heels into the floor as we allow the hips to rise. And then coming up to stand with a flat back. Now we'll heel toe those feet into the center. And you can shake the legs out if you like. Find a nice Tadasana, shoulders rolling onto the back, opening the chest forward, palms facing forward. And then we'll inhale the arms up overhead. We're going to grasp the right wrist and the left hand, pulling up and out of the side body as we exhale over to the side. Finding a nice side stretch here. Bending the knees slightly. And if you like to peel that top shoulder back a little and take your gaze up towards the ceiling, you can do that. Keep the head facing forward and up to you. Inhaling, arms come back overhead. We'll switch the grip here, pulling up and out as we ground into the left side body and exhale over to the right. Grounding into the left heel, not grounding into the side body. Peeling that top shoulder back, taking the gaze up if you like. And then inhale, arms come back up overhead. And exhale, hands come to heart center. I'm going to bring us into a thigh stretch now. So go ahead and ground down through that left foot, pulling the belly button in and back, engaging that pelvic floor muscle up. And then we'll bring the left foot up from the floor, bringing it around behind. You can find a wall or a piece of furniture to help with your balance here if you like. Or you can inhale that other arm up overhead. And see if you can bring the right knee back in line with the left here, allowing that right hip to come forward slightly, firming through the belly muscles. And then when you're ready, gently release down to the floor. We'll find this on the other side now, grounding down into that right foot, bringing the left heel along behind. And inhaling the arm up or holding on to your furniture or wall. Finding your focal point, maybe giving yourself a little smile. And then allowing that to release gently to the floor. So here's where the strap comes in today. I'm going to explore a standing big toe pose. And if you would like to take this on the back instead, you can certainly lie down and do the same sort of thing. I do encourage you to find a wall or a piece of furniture for this pose, unless it's one that you already have in your practice and are very comfortable with. So we're going to ground into, I am on my left foot, and I'm going to bring my strap around the right ball of the foot here. And using my wall for balance, I'm going to bring my right knee up. And you'll see I've rolled my strap around my hand a little bit here. And so I'm just going to extend that right leg out, pulling back on the strap. And then if you like, you can open that right leg out to the side. Just finding that stretch and also a little strength here. And you'll recognize this as a movement that we often do on the floor. Bending a little into that supporting knee, toes facing forward, shoulders rolling back. Inhale to bring the leg back out in front. And then exhale, bending into the knee, allowing the foot to release to the floor. And taking your strap around the other foot. I'm going to turn to the other side. And finding your wall, bending at the knee, adjusting your strap as much as you need to. And then exhale, sending that leg out forward. And then if you like, opening to the side. Ooh, I got a nice big pop in my hip there. Bending a little into the knee. You can play with your balance here if you like. And then inhaling to bring that leg back around in front. And exhale, bending the knee, releasing the strap. And maybe shaking a little water off the legs. Finding a little wiggleasana. All right, we'll do one last balance move here today, and then we'll take it on down to the floor. So inhaling here, we're going to exhale as we shift the hips back into our chair pose. And then grounding down through this right leg, we're going to pick the left leg up from the floor, coming into a standing figure 4. You can keep the hands at heart center here, or if you like, you can open the arms wide. And then exhale, bringing the left arm over the right arm and coming into eagle arms. Sitting down a little farther will make this just a little more stable. And then when you're ready, inhale, opening the arms, dropping the leg down, and exhale. Hands come back to your sides. And into your Tadasana, grounding down through the opposite foot. Exhaling back into your chair pose. Bringing the right ankle on the top of the left leg this time. Inhaling, arms open wide. And exhaling, coming into eagle arms on the other side, this time with the right arm on top. If you're struggling a little in this pose, go back to your wall. Leave out the eagle arms. Inhaling, arms sweep open, releasing the foot to the floor. Good. And find a little shoulder motion here. And then we'll take this back to the top of the mat and prepare to come on back down to the floor. So just using a little half sun salutation here to make our way back down to the floor. We'll inhale, arms come up overhead. Exhale, hands come all the way down. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale to release. Planting both hands here. You can step back to a plank or a half plank. And then your choice here. If you'd like to come through a vinyasa, you can do that. Or you can drop both knees to the mat. We'll come into just a little cat-cow motion here. If you are taking that vinyasa, when you get to your downward facing dog, you can take a break there for a moment and we'll meet you there. And I'll bring that cat-cow motion to stillness and we'll come into our downward facing dog. Last downward facing dog. And then from your down dog, allow your knees to find the mat. Exhale back into a child's pose, wide leg or knees close together as you like. Inhale to rise up from your child's pose. You can shift your knees over to one side, coming back to a seat at the back of your mat. And we're going to come into a Dandasana here just briefly. Just pulling those toes back towards the face, pressing the palms or maybe the fists into the floor. We spend a lot of time in our sitting lives with our pelvis rolled under, allowing our backs to also come into this sort of slouch. So see if you can pull that pelvis forward, allowing the shoulders to move back and the spine to straighten here. And maybe that means you bend your knees. So finding whatever you need in this pose. And then we'll allow this to release as we come on down to the back. We're going to let the legs extend out long when you've found your way down. And we're going to take the hands up underneath the tail here. So allowing the hands to be underneath the fleshy part of the buttocks here, and then pulling the elbows in closer to the body. We're going to take this into fish pose. So pointing out through the toes, which we rarely do in yoga, but for this pose we do. So pointing out through the toes. As we're inhaling, we'll press into the elbows, allowing the top of the head to come to the floor. Not putting weight in the top of the head here, just allowing it to rest gently as we press into the elbows for this back bend fish pose. And then to come out of this pose, we'll really press into the elbows so that we can move the head freely. And then set the head back down, coming back to rest on the back and pulling the knees into the chest. Taking the knees now to 90 degrees, pulling those toes back. We're going to roll that little curve out of the small of the back. And just bring a little love to the abdominal muscles before we close. So bringing the hands back behind the head here. We're going to inhale as we allow the chest and shoulders to move up from the mat. You can bring the hands around in front into pointer fingers. And then we'll allow the finger to trace an arc over towards the left side as we extend through the right leg. Inhaling to switch here, we're drawing a rainbow over the knees. Exhale, pressing out through the left heel. Inhale, drawing that arc. Exhale, pressing out through the opposite heel. Listening to the breath, moving slowly and mindfully here. Moving at your own pace, your own rhythm, with your own breath. Just making sure that you even on both sides here. So if you started off reaching to the left as I did, you might reach to the right on your last motion. Coming through one last full round here. Sticking with it. And then we'll meet back in the center, bringing the hands gently back behind the head. And exhale to release. Allow the feet to come down to the mat. You might like to really stretch out long through the abs here. Fingertips reaching away, toes pointing away. And then we'll exhale, allowing the hands to come back down to the belly, bringing the feet back into our constructive rest pose as we started today. And then allowing the arms to open wide. We'll just let both legs fall over to the left as we look out over the right shoulder. And if you like to take that left foot on top of the right knee for more sensation, you can do that, but certainly not required, just a variation, just an offering. Inhaling both knees back up. We'll exhale as we drop the knees over in the other direction. Finding that little extra sensation if you like it. And then releasing the knees back up, bringing the knees into the chest. Get that lower back a little bit of love. Inhale the nose up to the knees if you like. And then exhale, releasing it all out. Heels coming towards the corners of your mat, shoulders coming up underneath the back, stretching out nice and long for our Shavasana. And just taking a few moments here to rest in the peace and the quiet that follows our practice. Allow yourself to begin to awaken gently, wiggling fingers or toes, or finding some wrist or ankle circles. Maybe stretching out long, extending the arms overhead, and then rolling gently to one side, being careful and mindful with the nervous system, keeping it nice and calm and slow. And as you become ready, press yourself up to a seated position. You can keep your eyes closed or your gaze lowered if you like. I seem to be on a Mary Oliver kick lately. So I chose one for today called Why I Wake Early. Hello, sun in my face. Hello, you who make the morning and spread it over the fields and into the faces of the tulips and the nodding morning glories, and into the windows of even the miserable and the crotchety. Best preacher that ever was, dear star, that just happens to be where you are in the universe to keep us from ever darkness, to ease us with warm touching, to hold us in the great hands of light. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Watch now how I start the day in happiness and kindness. Thank you, as always, for joining me for this practice, and may it help you to start your day in happiness and kindness, and may your yoga follow you off the mat.